The following is a story written by Claude Sonnet. The sodium streetlights cast long shadows across Lower Wacker Drive as Michael and Sarah Reeves hurried through the deserted street. Their footsteps echoed off the concrete walls, mixing with the distant rumble of the L train overhead. It was supposed to be a simple anniversary dinner at Gibson's, but now they were running for their lives. Sarah's heels clicked against the pavement as she gripped Michael's hand. "We need to get off the street," she whispered, her breath visible in the cold Chicago night. "That thing, it's not normal." They'd first spotted it 3 blocks back, standing perfectly still under a broken streetlight outside the merchandise mart. At first, they thought it was just another late-night commuter waiting for an Uber. Then it turned toward them, revealing gray skin pulled tight across sharp cheekbones and milky white eyes that reflected the city lights like a cat's. When it moved, it didn't shamble like the zombies in movies. It exploded forward with the fluid grace of an Olympic sprinter. Michael yanked Sarah into a narrow service alley between 2 office buildings. "Fire escape," he panted, pointing upward. The metal structure zigzagged its way up the building's facade. They'd barely made it 2 steps when they heard it. The wet slap of bare feet on concrete, moving far too fast. Sarah reached the ladder first, her fingers wrapping around the cold metal rungs. As she pulled herself up, Michael glanced back toward the street. The zombie stood at the alley's entrance, its head cocked at an impossible angle. Its business suit, once expensive, was now stained with what Michael desperately hoped wasn't blood. For a moment, their eyes met, and Michael saw something worse than mindless hunger in its gaze. Intelligence. The creature's jaw unhinged like a snake's, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth, and it launched itself forward. Michael scrambled up the ladder behind Sarah, feeling the rush of air as clawed fingers swiped inches from his ankle. The zombie slammed into the wall below them with enough force to crack the brick, but it recovered instantly, leaping onto the ladder with inhuman agility. "Up, up!" Michael screamed. They raced up the fire escape, metal rattling beneath their feet. Sarah's designer dress caught on a jagged edge, ripping with a sound like gunfire in the quiet night. The zombie was gaining, moving on all 4s up the metal structure like some terrible spider. They reached the 6th floor, and Sarah spotted a partially open window. Without hesitation, she threw herself through the gap, rolling onto industrial carpet. Michael followed, spinning around to slam the window shut just as their pursuer reached the landing. The zombie's face pressed against the glass, its breath fogging the pain. It smiled, actually smiled, revealing those terrible teeth again. Then it began methodically pushing against the window. The desk! Sarah was already moving, shoving a heavy office desk across the floor. Together, they wedged it against the window. The zombie's efforts grew more frenzied, the glass starting to spiderweb with cracks. "We need to keep moving," Michael said, pulling Sarah toward the office door. "That won't hold it for long." They burst into the hallway, emergency lights casting everything in an eerie red glow. Behind them, they heard the sound of breaking glass and splintering wood. The creature's footsteps were getting closer. It's breathing. Why did it need to breathe? Growing louder. Sarah spotted the elevator bank ahead. "There," she pointed. One set of doors was partially open, stuck between floors during the power outage. They could see the empty shaft beyond. The zombie rounded the corner, moving so fast it left gouges in the carpet. Michael pushed Sarah ahead of him, shouting, "Run!" They reached the elevator doors, and Sarah squeezed through the gap. Michael followed, his broader shoulders barely fitting. The zombie's fingers brushed his back just as he made it through. They pressed themselves against the far wall of the shaft as the creature slammed into the gap, its shoulders too wide to fit through. It thrashed and snarled, trying to force its way in. But the doors held. After what felt like an eternity, it went still. Those intelligent eyes found them in the darkness, and its lipless mouth formed words. "I'll wait." Michael felt Sarah trembling against him. The shaft was pitch black above and below them. Their phones had no signal. Dawn was hours away. And somewhere in the building, patient and hungry, their pursuer waited for them to make their next move. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you for watching and listening to the AI Entertainment Network.